Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Turtlecast, when we are talking everything about Fallout, especially Fallout 76, whatever is new, what's happening in the game, and answering your questions. So it's a week since we received the update. It's going okay outside of bugs. Outside of bugs, it's going okay. The changes overall, there's a lot of good changes. Some bad ones, but the bugs are unfortunately chasing us a little bit and making things more difficult, but hopefully those will get addressed at some point. A quick check on follow.com if there is any news. And the last article was a reminder about invaders from beyond. We know it's ongoing, but no new plans, unfortunately. So there is nothing new about invaders. There was some data mined information about glowing mask, but it happened that it's not the case. After testing, the glowing mask of Fastnacht are not dropping at all from alien invasion. To be clear. And now let me say hi to people in the chat. Welcome Michael Yost, Adefion Jack, Spiteful Angel, Aliful, Michaela, Siski, A4C, Rascal, Solipsista, Regular Everyday Normal Guy, Azure, Winper, Visrick, Edgar Martinez, Kasumi, Jay, Andrea Minotti, KD, Fresh Gaming, Suika, Jay, and Matthew, and Slug, and Exodus. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all in here. Oh, you did, Jay, you did encrypt that twice, and twice you got the half glitch. When the half glitch is happening, like when you do the imposter ship squash, the encrypted event, and when objectives switch to capture the pylons, and you straight up go to capture them, it's a highly likelihood it will bug out for you. It is recommended to wait like 5 to 10 seconds and then start capturing the pylons. If you do it too early, it will glitch out. So just wait a little bit longer and you should be fine. Give it 5-10 seconds from the time objective appears to the moment you will start capturing them. And to be honest, Bethesda never actually announced that the mask will be dropping. That was a data mined information. So maybe they didn't actually want them to drop. There was a lot happening last year in Fallout 76. And even more is gonna happen. So far all we know, December, the biggest update ever. And Season 2 of Fallout TV show. More info, I'm guessing, to come, hopefully before December. Yeah, percards bugging out when you exit Power Armor is a pain indeed. And that's a bunch of percards. I don't have the full list, but that's a bunch of percards that switches themselves off if you exit or enter Power Armor. The workaround is relatively simple, but wipes out the Bulletstorm stacks, as you need to switch build loadout to some other build and back. Switching builds fixes that, but every time you exit or enter Power Armor, you need to switch builds. That's on top of the stat log bug. Luckily, the fix for stat log bug and percard bug is the same, so at least you are fixing both in the same time. Therefore, that's the only good news. It's the same fix for both bugs. That's the only good news, but it needs to get addressed. It's getting worse. And I wish they would address as well the Pip-Boy damage display bug, which means that weapon damage displayed when you inspect the weapon and inside the Pip-Boy are not actual damages. Quite a lot of weapons is affected, and the difference from what shows and what weapon is actually doing can be quite big. You don't like the new building update? I do like the new menu, way more than old one. I am able to find items, so I like that for that. In the old one, Sometimes I was spending 15 minutes attempting to locate one item, and it was really discouraging me from even moving and touching my camp at all. It was a hassle. So I do like that they finally sorted items in the way that it makes sense, and it's way easier to find items. I still wish they would implement a search box so I could type what I'm looking for, but maybe it's not possible somehow in this engine. I don't know. Performance, I don't have problem with performance. My game is running smoothly, and I'm on PC. So that's not probably on the Bethesda list. For most people, it's running smooth. The one thing you need to do is just your ini file, quick edit to uncap the frame rates as the built-in VSync. Like the Fallout creation engine has built-in VSync that works terribly on PC. So you need to switch it off. And one thing that you could do to easily solve out this problem for a lot of people, just add the setting, in-game setting to switch off VSync. But currently it's only possible through editing ini file. Oh, Rascal still have trouble finding some items? Yeah, at least no longer a horror of floor decor. Do you remember the old floor decor menu? With hundreds of items in one line and without any order? Like not even alphabetical order, just no order at all. Just random items, hundreds of them, and you want to find one. That was terrible. Okay, before we talk anymore, let me jump to Discord, answer your questions. There is a bunch of questions in our Discord, Ask the Turtle section, so I will open that and I answer your questions. Which was the last one that I answered? I think, oh, okay, those are the new ones. Let's switch to this one. And the first one. Did they fix the stored Frieza trick? I've been using that so I don't have to worry quite as much. Stored Frieza trick? I don't know what that trick is. Next, so what's the best barrel mode for sniper rifles? True long barrel if you want to manually snipe. True barrels, and not stabilized yet, true barrels. Mr. Turtle, can you expand upon that? I'm trying to create a couple of sniper weapons, and I have a friend who likes manual aim, sniping with the fixer and other semi-auto weapons. Please advise. So yeah, all true mods. True mods increase accuracy. You don't really need stabilization when you are running a sniper. So you are shooting once and waiting like at least a second, depends on the weapon, before you fire again. So stabilize is not really needed. Accuracy is needed. Next, hello. Regarding pinpointers, does it work with explosive legendary? Mostly no, as explosion is not hitting the weak spot. Maybe some exceptions I did not found, so it's a no. Do I get the damage bonus from shooting the head, or it only work for arms and legs? No, pinpointers was changed. It's a weak spot. It works when you are hitting a weak spot, regardless if it's head, torso, belly, or whatever the enemy weak spot is. You need to be aiming for the weak spot. Regarding stacking of damage and how they synergize, pinpointers, tormentors, scatter shot. Not for the cripple effect, but to do more damage. So to understand this, think pinpointers effect will trigger for each limb, as each limb is get damaged because of the why are you pinpointers says no connection with limb damage. Pinpointers does not affect limbs. Like pinpointer is boosting your overall damage per shot when you hit a weak spot. In result, like hitting a weak spot versus hitting, let's say, a leg, will carry on more damage to limbs, but only because hitting the weak spot you are doing more overall damage that can be then distributed in between all limbs. So yeah, it's not... I'm not really sure what you are trying to say here. There's no connection. Pinpointers, its damage increase when you are hitting a weak spot, regardless of all other perks. Hello, Mr. Turtle. Can you please do a video explaining the differences between all the weapon modes after change and how they affect weapons now? Especially what are the best ones for Enclave Plasma Rifle Flamer? Also, is polished durability best 3-4 for Enclave Flamer? Thank you for helping make sense of all changes after the update. So the polished versus pinpointers, that mainly depend on how you use the weapon. If you are always hitting a weak spot, pinpointers is great. If you are not always hitting a weak spot, polished will be better as it is working at all times. And of course, if you add durability, that helps you keep your weapon fully repaired for much longer, and you rarely ever need to repair it. Therefore, it is a very good combo. Will polished outperform pinpointers? Most of the time, no. It kind of depends a little bit on the enemy and how much damage bonuses you already have. But the damage bonus will be about similar, with small edge for pinpointers on min-max build and enemy with a good weak spot to hit. And if you are using weapon that cannot hit a weak spot, let's say explosive ones, you always want polished, as polished is the strongest if weak point is not involved. Okay, next. Yesterday in the live stream, we're running that... Wait, the what? Perk that leave... Oh, there is a perk that you... Yeah, there is a perk that lock and load called that allows you to keep half of the stacks on reload. That's lock and load. I think that's the question is about. Hello, Turtle. How's your channel dealing with YouTube's restricted mode? I hope it isn't affecting your views nor your income. Many of my favorite YouTubers are in shambles making videos about warning their viewers. Don't really know restricted mode. You mean when video is restricted to age restricted? I try to avoid age restriction by not like showing extreme violence even in video games. That's the best way. But not actually sure what the question is about. I'm doing okay. I'm not gonna be millionaire any day soon, but I can still support myself out of YouTube, so that's good. Could we please have an update in the melee build with this new perks rework? Yeah, I will work on melee build soon. As cool as that green arrow build is, I can't do it. I kill my... How? How do you kill yourself? Stop using explosive. I told you in this video, in the build video, use the love bow. Don't put explosive on it. I demonstrated crossbow with explosive for clearing of mass mobs, but outside of that, I'm not using it. It's not a good idea. I don't know how you achieve that. That's not my build. My build doesn't do that. Mr. Turtle, for the EPG testings, would love to see an extreme version of crit build with all the buffs, etc. Does it make sense in certain situations? Enclave Plasma Gun, crits does make sense, but not for the Flamer, not for the Guardian. Is damage while aiming bonus for scopes is more powerful currently than crits. Crits, at least on adventure servers, too often like the damage is dropped, like server do not properly register, and you end up doing less and not more. That's why on Guardian I recommend putting scope on Flamer, aiming downside rather than using VATS, even though the VATS is not too expensive and you could use it. Just from my testing, almost always does less damage and not more. For the automatic mode for Enclave Plasma Gun, that would be absolutely a good solution to go with crits. But will you kill Guardian faster? No. For other enemies, it would improve, yes. Hello, Mr. Turtle. Do you think aliens built the pyramids? I don't know. I don't know much about pyramids at all. I was never even there. I know the pyramids are in Egypt. And they're big, supposedly. And that's the extent of my knowledge, unfortunately. Maybe one day I will go for a trip there. But it's expensive trip, so for now not. That's all I know about pyramids. Hello, Mr. Turtle. I was curious about which 4-star legendary mod works best for the Gauss minigun. Depend on circumstances, but it would be pinpointers for, let's say, Guardian farming, as Guardian is immune to explosions. If you then spec more into area of effect damage and explosions, as Gauss Mini has built-in explosion, if you add explosive on the 2nd star, then polished will be better, as that improves your explosive. I'm using both, and those two 4-star legendary are working very well. If you are focusing on crippling enemies, bullies is not something to forget about. Bullies is actually great on bosses, the limbistic bosses, which is most of them. The Guardian is the exception, as Guardian only has 2 limbs, and kind of Snake, because Snake is very hard to cripple. Like, it's possible to cripple its limbs, and there's a lot of them, but they're so resistant that it's usually happening at the very end of the fight, so it doesn't matter. But for regular bosses, like Air Williams, for example, Bullies is awesome, as you can cripple all limbs relatively fast, the same about Scourge's Queen, and then the huge bonus of like 150% kicks in, and that makes a difference. So you have 3 options: Bullies, Polished, Pinpointers. Those are the strongest 3 legendary, if you care about damage. Are the cards Tankilla and Bow Before Me working? I'm pretty sure they are. But if you exit Enter Power Armor, most likely they will bug out. So you need to switch loadouts. Like, the pair cards are working for me, but I go over the bug, always switching loadouts if I do anything with Power Armor. I always do my standard routine when I spawn to the world, when they can be bugged too, that I switch loadout, I eat some food, and so on. So I don't start even playing until I unbug my character. I know it's annoying, but that's what we need to do. Next, hello Angriest of Turtles. With the updates to pair cards and VATS, it appears the infinite VATS of the Lazy Horda Heavy Gunner is not possible. What would you recommend to replace the armor 4-star and weapon 4-star, and would you recommend any perk changes? I will need to think about it. I wasn't really checking yet for what would be the weapon for infinite VATS, but my first thought with the recent changes, it would be trying Gatling Gun. Gatling Gun can be quite a good option because it's firing slowly. And I still want to see if I can tinker somehow with Ultrasight Gatling Laser to maybe make it work better without running out of action points. I will need to see what can be done. I didn't update this build, so obviously I don't have full answer just yet. There's so many builds that requires an update. Hello. It is not a question, but rather an important information for all the ghouls that still left in the game. Incorporate in your build Nerd Rage per card. Then use the stat lock feature to become OP Blooded Ghoul. Drop your health. We know that works. That works for humans too. That works with humans too, but Bethesda need to fix it. That's like that for a while. They need to fix it. And not only because this one is beneficent. There is a lot that comes with this bag that is negative. Can I drop Blocka if I'm using Power Armor? Too many good cards in Strength. You can, absolutely. You just need to be a little bit more careful, but I did drop Blocka from most of my Power Armor builds because, yes, if I need to choose between damage and tankiness, I usually go for more damage, as dead enemies cannot do anything to you. So if you can kill them first, you don't need to be as tanky. That's one of the very good strategies. So the developers made EPG mods much easier to get, and at the same time made every configuration except the flamer lackluster. That's true. That's true. Unfortunately, that is true. Hey Turtle, what are the best legendary prefixes for Tesla Cannon, and is two-shot valuable for Cremator? Currently, I'm avoiding two-shot, the bugs with multi-projectiles and the explosions doing less damage. So generally, I would avoid two-shot. I would go with either Furious, Blooded, Junkies, Aristocrats, Mutants, whatever is consistent first star prefix. There's a lot of good ones. That's what I would go for. Just avoid two-shot for now, until they fix a multi-projectile explosive bug. Some people in the Discord are saying the stat lock stats are visual only. Is that right? It is not. Visual on Pip-Boy and the damage numbers, but actually doesn't do that damage. It does do more damage. We did some testings, and stat locking nerd rage at 80% was giving me like a nice improvement to the damage output as well. Stat locking, the awareness perk gives improvement to VATS hit chance. I don't know how it can be just visual, outside of the fact that what I said, everything is just visual because it's a video game. So yes, it doesn't affect a real world, but it does affect the game. And lastly, Mr. Turtle, why am I dying so much in the Crystal Lab stage of the raid? You don't have enough health. I'm using Union Power Armor with extra poison resistance. Poison resistance does not matter. That's Ultra Side poison, not a regular poison. That's the poison that cannot be reduced by any resistance. Am I missing a buff or something? Yes, you need to focus on more health. So instead of poison resistance, put endurance on your power armor. You will have more health total, and it will affect you less. More health. Whatever you can do to increase your total health will help with stage 4. And if those mobs are killing you too often, like if you are being swarmed by mobs, then what help versus mobs is the blocker perk, as they all melee. So you can add blocker perk if you're being killed too much and increase your total health, and that's the best strategy for stage 4. And that was the last question. It was quite a bit of questions, but we did answer them. So back to you in the chat now. I'm coming back to the chat. This patch has been rough for non-stealth Gauss rifle enjoyers. Why is that the case? Gauss rifle is doing great, if I'm not mistaken, with this patch. Can anything help with targeting mole miners with VATS? Awareness perk? And using weapon with high range? Oh, and going invisible helps. Like if you obstruct your own line of sight, using stealth suit helps. Spiteful Angel, thank you a lot for donating 10 memberships to Turtle's Army. And I welcome regular everyday normal guy. It's Varin, Code Red Crazy, Chelsea Cook, Cowboy Jr., Ryan Katsumata, Game Only, Abdominus Yorkshire, Vashgans, and Colin. Welcome, and may the shell be with you. Thank you very much, Spiteful Angel. I appreciate the generous donation. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Is the Ranger 4-star additive damage? Unfortunately, yes, it is. Does it work outside of VATS? Yes, it does. Conductors is still worth using on basically every weapon that's for VATS. It does help with maintaining VATS for a little bit longer, reduce the amount of coffee you need to pop otherwise. So Conductors remains to be a really good 4-star effect for VATS enjoyers. It's harder now to achieve infinite VATS, doesn't mean it's not useful. Oh, someone saying that YouTube bots are doing a hidden age restriction on some YouTube videos. Oh, I did not hear about that, really. So I don't know. Are spotlights necessary in your cam? Do they help the turrets? I'm afraid that nothing helps the turrets. I was playing with turrets a lot and they just very wonky no matter what you do. So turrets just cannot be helped. That's why I like my camp in one spot that's never attacked. Oh yeah, Spiteful Angel, I heard about this bug. The quick swap between two weapons on the controller is messed up and switching to random weapons. I heard about it, I don't know what's causing that. Tips about the build to use against the snake? Oh, they slow down the snake with Cryolator. I didn't try slowing down the snake. That may be fun. We usually just kill it very fast. So normal approach for the snake is using Gauss minigun, aiming for eye, and annihilating the snake in a matter of like 30 seconds. That's the usual approach. I don't know what tips exactly you need. Are you dying too much? Are you not doing enough damage? Which way is it going? You can see my heavy gunner build. That's quite good for raid overall. Ogwa Gauntlet is better now. Like they buffed a lot of unarmed weapons. And Cryolator is decent damage, but not the highest. So Cryolator is good to slow down, let's say, Snake or other bosses, but it doesn't offer the highest DPS, unfortunately. It's better now. It was a little bit buffed, so it's definitely better than it was after it was severely nerfed. It was really good in the past with Snowball Effect, and it was nerfed a lot, and now it was buffed a little bit back up. So Cryolator is usable currently, not the strongest. Oh, Roadman, thank you. I'm happy that you are enjoying my guide for the Guardian. And surprisingly, with this patch, Guardian can be basically solo by level 100 characters. So it's a really low bar to start farming your 4-star legendaries. Does Pyromaniac's Viper's effect dot? Oh, does it affect dot? Yes, it does. You can use Cremator with Pyromaniacs and you will be doing more damage. That works. At least last time I tested, it was working. It will not show in the Pip-Boy for obvious reasons, but it does work on enemies. There's specific 4-star mod that's preferred for the fixer. For most weapon, preferred one is pinpointers or conductors that are two the most popular depending if you need more sustain or just plainly more damage. The two most popular mods and easiest to use, conductors and pinpointers, best two 4-star for most weapons. Cryon Crusader does the same thing to Snake, so maybe Crusader was buffed by quite a decent amount if I'm not mistaken, so that may be an option. Let's, you know what, if we have so much discussion about those weapons that received a bonus, we'll take a look on the advanced patch notes that were posted by Bethesda with huge list of changes to weapons, so we can see if there is like particular contender for cryo effect. Oh, and thank you, Cygnus X1, for gifting a sub. Appreciate, and welcome Solo Zero. Thank you very much. And now let's go for those advanced patch notes. Advanced patch notes. Switching. Advanced patch notes. Or full patch notes for combat. And what interests us is the damage value updates. There was a couple typos there, but I think they fixed them by now, hopefully, in the patch notes. Yeah, they fixed 50 cal, so it's now correctly showing that it was buffed and not nerfed. So yeah. Okay, contenders for cryo. Alien Blaster can be made cryo, so it seems like it could be good. With cryo damage, 72 if it's crazy high fire rate. That's the base, by the way. So the damages here we're looking at, that is the base damage. It's important to know as those can be improved a lot, but we need to know the base damage even more today, as those are the most important weapon damages, and Pip-Boy is lying. So the patch notes are more important than ever before, as we can see actual damage that's supposed to be the base damage in there. Oh, and Jesus for you, thank you a lot for donating 5 memberships. So maybe let me quickly welcome those 5 new members. Welcome, Michael Granado, Carbonated Diarrhea, Brad, Every Diligent Baga, and Luke Atkin. Welcome, and may the shall be with you, new members. And now back to those notes. So Alien Blaster, not bad. Disintegrator is higher, but don't forget, Disintegrator fire rate is much lower than Alien Blaster. So Alien Blaster is actually better, stronger, and offer cryo mod. If we keep scrolling, what else is there with a cryo mod? There is a lot of melee weapons, like Bear Arm, you can see here. Like, Bear Arm was buffed a lot. Bear Arm was buffed a lot, and the Turtle Gauntlet is basically a Bear Arm underneath. So that's the one, or buffed a lot. Black Powder, all of them buffed a lot. I'm trying to find the Cryolator will be here soon. Combat, Cremator. Oh, Cremator. Here you can see what Cremator is actually doing. What you cannot see. Okay, I will stop for a second on Cremator. What you cannot see on Pip-Boy. So that's the old damage, but it was changed. So fire impact. So that when you hit an enemy, it's fire damage, it's impact damage. Then, very important, and that can be quite big, it's fire explosion. Fire explosion, why it's important? That's significant amount of the damage done. And this is affected by multi-projectile bug. Therefore, if you put like quad barrel on it to fire 4 projectiles, you will basically wipe out your explosive damage. So you'll lose a lot of damage because of the bug. So you need to use the regular single barrel or heavy barrel. And there is a fire per second, and that can be boosted greatly with this long burn mode. So fire can be really high. And they list as fire per second, so it's not total. Like in the Pip-Boy, when you inspect weapon, you will see total fire damage over the duration. In the patch notes, they list more important ones, so how much it does per second. So it's 32 per second, and it can be boosted to do more. Oh, and Crusader is here. Actually, Crusader is not as powerful comparing to Alien Blaster. I think Alien Blaster Cryo would be stronger than Crusader Cryo. I don't exactly know. Like, one thing we don't know from those mods is how much those elemental mods like Cryo mod and so on add to the damage. How much damage is being added, how much is being transferred, and Pip-Boy cannot be used to figure that out as Pip-Boy is lying. So Cryolator was boosted a decent amount. That's 11 damage from 41 to 52. 11 damage is almost 30%, so the improvement to the Cryolator damage quite significant, about 30%, and the fire rate is still really good on the Cryolator. So maybe it could have been used now with this improvement to its base damage. It's not bad, but it will not dominate. Obviously, with this amount of damage, it will not dominate. But it can do something. The Deathclaw Gauntlet is really high damage now. Explosives, I don't really care too much. They cannot penetrate walls. Fatman, you see the huge buff to the Fatman? It is true, they buffed it a lot. But in the same time, it is affected by two-shot bug. So if you are running two-shot Fatman, and you were running it before the patch, and now, you will notice like there is a tiny buff, but in actuality, it's a huge buff to Fatman. You just cannot see it if your Fatman is affected by multi-projectile explosive bug. If you switch to something like Mutant's Fatman, then you see this huge increase to damage. Oh, and that's the Gatling gun. That's why I was saying it's one of the contenders for a lazy build now, as the damage was improved by quite a big margin. In the same time, Gatling Laser is the same, and Gatling Plasma was nerfed, as you probably noticed. That's why we are not using Gatling Plasma anymore. It's still powerful, just not as powerful as it was. But the Gatling gun with 112 now per shot, you can boost it with Bullet Storm, yes, even though it's firing very slowly. It has indeed a good ammo capacity, so you can, slowly but surely, get those Bullet Storm stacks. Regular Gauntlet was buffed too, but as you may notice, Gauntlet is 160, that's the same as Bear Arm. Therefore, the Settler's Gauntlet is probably no longer the strongest, like Deathclaw Gauntlet goes higher. So the order of melee weapons did change, and that's the Gauss minigun. So simultaneously buffing Gauss minigun, and they don't even list it here, but that comes, like the base damage increase comes with full Gauss minigun rework to its mods, when simultaneously nerfing a little bit Gatling Plasma. That would put a Gauss minigun on #1 spot. That would cause that. This change. So the Gauss rifle didn't really change. That's why I was surprised that someone is saying that they ruined it. Like, they didn't really. Like, they did nerf it by like less than, not less, like 2 percentage points. So you shouldn't even notice that. The amount of change here is unnoticeable normally. The Gauss shotgun was actually buffed, as seen in here, but with multi-projectile explosive bug, that was completely undone. That the bug is taking out more damage than it was added, so the Gauss shotgun feels weaker because of the bug. Finally, Handmade, they decided to buff it, so it's not as bad as it was. I think Fixer is buffed here too with this patch. Hunting rifle. That's the big buff to snipers. So that's a good sniper now. I really like it. Feels really good as a sniper. Oh, Chassis for you. Thank you a lot for $5. And Chassis for you is saying, don't forget to hit the like button, everyone. Enjoy the wasteland. Thank you a lot, Chassis for you. Appreciate that. Laser was reduced. That's regular laser gun, I think they meant by putting laser only. We're not using regular laser. If anything, we're using ultraside versions. Lower action rifle for snipers buffed too, but not as much as you can see as hunting rifle. The hunting rifle is a king now of snipers. Feels really good to use. Okay, what else was impactful? Look at that, Molmina Gauntlet. Like, a lot of gauntlets is basically 160, 180 damage. So they perform quite similar, which maybe is good. You can choose the one that looks the best for you. That I have no idea what was the plan here. Like, no one is using that. Maybe it's even a typo. Maybe they gave it a buff and accidentally showed the nerf, or maybe they gave it nerf and no one even notices, no one is using it. So Nuka Mine. huge boost, but in the same time, they took away wall-piercing effect from Nuka Mine. So it's a loss overall. The only wall-piercing grenade is regular Nuka grenade now, and it's about the same damage as before, with exception of radiation, so it hits harder. Like yourself, you will hit yourself harder, but enemies about the same. Beloved Pitchfork. Plasma Caster, for those of you that did ask about VATS Heavy Gunner with the plasma, with no power armor Plasma Caster. It is a thing indeed. You can even run it bloodied with unyielding. It is a lot. Like Plasma Caster is hitting like a truck now. It's total of 200 damage over per shot. The plasma gun, so regular plasma gun, only slide above. It's not the same as Enclave plasma gun, as Enclave plasma is hitting higher. But this overall received a buff, so that's good, as if I'm not mistaken, at some point of public test server, it was a nerf to a plasma gun. Maybe they reverted that later. That's a Power Fist 171, so good. Railway was buffed, but with all the nerfs that Railway received over last year, it's still not the most powerful one. Salvage Assaultron Head would benefit way more if they would fix quad, allowing us to get 20 stacks. Okay, what was else that I wanted to stop on? Like Super Sledge here, that's definitely for melee now, one of the top weapons. So Tesla Cannon indeed was buffed. And it's doing good now. I just needed to switch my 2-shot to something else. You'll see the dragon damage increase, but they did hit hard on the dragon range, which is a pain. But Fixa, look at that. Fixa is good again. There it is, Ultra Sight Gatling Laser. So it did receive a tiny buff, unlike non-Ultra Sight. The Gatling Laser didn't receive a buff, even a slightly nerf, I think, or maybe the same damage. But Ultra Sight Gatling Laser, a tiny little buff, but it works for it very well. Synergy with Bullet Storm is perfect on Ultra Sight Gatling Laser. So this damage doesn't seem like much, but it is indeed quite a lot. And Ultra Sight Laser, so that's unlike the laser gun, this one is doing really good now. Laser Carbine is supposed to be quite promising, and it's showing way higher damage on Pip-Boy, but Pip-Boy is lying. I was testing Laser Carbine, and that's its rightful damage. So that's its real damage, not what Pip-Boy shows. And I think those are the most important ones. Of course, Warglaive. That's the big one. 231 physical now with all those changes. So it's really high. Like the higher one is 244 on 500. Was there anything higher? If not counting travel, but throwing weapons hitting 506 at the base. But are throwing weapons scaling with strength? I don't think so. So that's like the big difference between all regular weapons and melee. This melee damage scales up with strength of your character. So if you spec for strength, you run with like 50, 60 strength, this damage skyrocket. That's why melee can hit so hard. So 231, what's the highest melee damage? Not the throwing knives and so on. The dragon is like the highest single shot gun. That's the highest for gun for sure, but Tenderize at 244. Super Sledge. Super Sledge is probably the highest now by the base. So I would need to test Super Sledge versus Warglaive. Of course, Warglaive does get quite a huge bump in damage with Plasma Blade. And Super Sledge only has hitting one, so not as much of a bonus. But starting higher, so which one will be the winner? I still need to find out what is the winner of melee. Of course, my winner is the Cursed Shovel. This is amazing stuff for melee because of the sound mainly, and still one-shotting those mobs. So Shovel it is for me, but objectively we have other melee weapons, 257 or Ship Squad stuff. So that's high, but not as high as Super Sledge, and there's no super powerful mods on Ship Squad stuff like on Warglaive. Did I miss any that would be a really hard hitting one? The unarmed weapons are lower, but don't forget unarmed weapons scale better and have unique perk to add even more. So scale better with strength. There is more perks to use for unarmed and better ones. So maybe unarmed is actually the king for melee if you are not using power armor. This power fist is really high now. I think Super Sledge is like dominant one. I don't see any higher. Don't see any higher than a Super Sledge. Guitar Sword is not gonna cut it. Nothing higher. Deathclaw Gauntlet is now probably the highest of all gauntlets. It used to be very long time ago. Early days of Follow, Deathclaw Gauntlet was the strongest unarmed, and it looks like it's again. They put it back on number 1. If I missed something, call me out in the chat. Komiwaka. Yeah, that's not a real gun or weapon. Cattle Prod. Total is quite a lot, but not enough. That's probably it. What was the Plasma Cutter? Plasma Cutter. Total 220, so that's not enough. Total 220 is not enough. I mean, that's a lot, and you can definitely use it well, but that's not enough to win the number 1 per hit damage. It's faster swing, though, than... Where are you? Than the Super Sledge or Warglaive. But Warglaive is a lot. 231 physical before application of Plasma Blade. That's a lot. That's a lot to start with. A lot of melee I need to test, but they do seem promising. Like the classic melee way more promising than auto access now. Auto access was hit quite hard with this attack rate reduction. So classic melee is when I'm leaning now towards. As they feel better, they don't need to spin them up. Okay, that's enough taking a look on the damage numbers. Back to you in the chat. The weapons that we can throw, I still need to test more. They do have nice damages now. Yeah, Deathclaw Gauntlet is a beast now. Super Duper was always a percentage chance to trigger. Hey, RJ Rub. Miasma's 4-star effect is really weak. I do not recommend using it. It's quite a weak effect, the Miasmas. Unless they buff it in this patch, as I didn't try in this patch, but last time I did try it, it was very weak. Yeah, I heard about the bug with the bleed cards, bleed perk cards. Alright, I think I exhausted the topics for this episode of Turtlecast, so we'll be heading out now for a member hangout when we go and do our daily challenges. And for tomorrow live stream, we'll try to assemble a team of green arrows to go and do everything with bows. I think that's gonna be fun tomorrow. Let's try entire raid with bows, including the annoying stages. So like stage 4, we'll be trying to pop crystals with bows, and we see how that goes. Maybe crossbow explosive will be good for crystals. I don't know, but we'll see. So bows or crossbows, like those two are basically the same thing. So arrows, we'll be using arrows and bolts. So see you there, everyone, and members, we are heading for our hangout. Bye, everyone. Take